And Andreas, in terms of traveling with the family in Cyprus, I guess it's family friendly because you're there already. So let's talk a bit about family life in Cyprus and in general, and what kind of things you're looking for when you're traveling with your family. Because for a lot of digital nomads and people with families, they consider it's very difficult to do that, and they're afraid of traveling when the kids are younger. Also, they see a problem with the school. So how about that?
I think that's all bullshit. I think what you said right now is stereotype answers of people who have been brought up in factory schooling, fear-based models, and they have all these issues. This factory trial of sending people to school, people going to work, to offices. This is something which we have been doing now for 200 years, and I think this is kind of expiring or expired. Yeah. Especially during the COVID period. And do parents still have this paranoia feature and want to send their kids to concrete boxes? Yes. But there's an awakening of millions of families at this stage who are probably 500,000 are pursuing alternative education models like worldschooling, where kids learn what they want to learn, when they want to learn it, and wherever. Yeah, so what they want to learn and when they want to learn it.
So definitely alternatives. I think it's a good takeaway. Yeah.
It's the most powerful because if kids learn what they want to learn, they don't forget.
Yeah.
If you want to learn something because you want to teach yourself, you don't forget it.
And also, I think it's better time spent for them, because I remember when I was going back to school, I was learning a lot of stuff which wasn't really useful, and I had to learn it. And I spent a lot of time
on top of that. They want to force you to learn things which you don't feel good about, or which is not intuitively something which you're connected to. So your inner voice is not saying, I want to learn it. And then second, the relevance of the content they teach you is more than questionable. Yeah. And as a methodology they apply is not motivating for the most people. So that is it's just dead. The model is dead. You will, if we talk about it in 30 years, you will say, oops, yes, I remember those days and we talked about it. I can see why people who went through factory schooling models, why they obviously are scared to do something different. I still have to see the first parent who tells me, by the way, I had such a fantastic time at school. Everything I learned made so much sense. I've not found a single parent yet. But it doesn't stop them from doing what everybody does and their logic. So they're still afraid of doing another step. And often it's especially the grandparents or the, let's say, in-laws who have all concerns because they are all paranoid, because they have been themselves educated based on paranoia. Yes, so what you said, the summary of the points you made doesn't make any sense. If you see world schooling families, they actually spend quality time with their children. If you send your kids to a factory school, as I call them, you have quality time of less than 40 minutes per day. So if you think about that, less than 40 minutes per day quality time with a child. Yeah, so that is what you sign up for a period of 12 years plus kindergarten. So people who love to have children tick differently. They actually celebrate to spend quality time with their kids. Plus they love the fact that they learn what they want to learn because they don't forget it. And the kids love to learn. They love to learn 365 days per year.
Yeah,
so
sure.
To make a long story short, the statement which you offered me in the beginning of my slightly longer answer is a typical one for people who have embraced this 200-year factory schooling model, which was designed to stop people from free thinking. Yeah, don't forget the guy called Ken Robinson, one of the smartest people on the subject. Sir Ken Robinson, hashtag, and you find all the information. He gave the #1 most viewed TED Talk in history. Sadly, he passed away too early. But he, in this TED Talk, mentioned that kindergarten or pre-kindergarten kids have been tested, and 98%, 98, so 98% are tested on a genius level when it comes to problem solving and creativity. Yeah, and this is going to be reduced to up to 10% when they're finished with university and their PhD. So I believe that says it all. So watch TED Talk in history, look at what he put together as the data, which is all well-documented, research-based data. And then the question is, who wants to take the responsibility of to continue sending their own kids into a factory model?
And so much wasted potential. I mean, I can already see that. Yeah.
It's just, let's say 98% are tested at genius when it comes to problem solving and creativity. And the issue probably why we have so many problems at this stage with people afraid to solve is because we destroy this systematically by making them follow orders and destroying their learning capabilities. So if we teach kids how to learn, especially in the day and age of AI. So AI is, I think, the foundation where, again, this is excelling at this stage. But if we just teach them how to learn and find the answers they're looking for, that's all that's needed.
Yeah. And Andres, what advice would you give parents who are looking into traveling and working with the kids? What should they start looking into? Like what kind of educational systems, or obviously it's also a mindset issue that they have to go over. But in terms of like starting, what would be the best pointers for them?
To ask the question if they really want to be parents as a starting point. If you really want to be parents, then the question is, do you want to have a model where you spend, let's say, 35 minutes quality time with your child per day and have them towards content which is irrelevant for the future? And if you say, yes, I want to spend more than 35 minutes with them per day, and I want them to learn things which are relevant, then you don't have many options. You have to actually research what makes the most sense to you. And the transformation of educational systems is the number one issue where all countries in the world right now are addressing that as a one of the top 5 priorities on a governmental level. They all realized what we have sucks. Yeah, and so it's happening on a large scale. But as an example, if you explore world schooling, so hashtag world schooling, you'll find 500,000 who are doing it differently and who are really embracing the initiative of the children and empowering the children to continue following that initiative. Yeah, and so the internet and artificial intelligence is a wonderful resource. You find mentors either in physical world schooling hubs or through online support. Yeah, all of that works. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and then you can say, you know what? Why don't we go to a place where we have a better time because our, let's say, 1,000 euros lasts 3 times longer? Then you kick in the subject of geo-arbitrage.
Yeah, it all makes sense to me. It definitely makes sense to me. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of stuck in the past, unfortunately, and also, yeah, I mean, we live in societies where you have to be a certain way to be successful, or there are no good alternatives, right? Because that's the way things are. It takes courage to think differently, and
Andrew, I disagree.
Yeah.
If you look into the past, and you see everything older than 200 years was very much based on world schooling models.
Okay.
Yeah, you find mentors, you find whoever knows the most teaches the kids about that subject. You allow them to pursue different passions, etc., etc. The idea of creating a factory schooling model with a government-approved curriculum is all only 200 years old.
All right.
Yeah, and if you again look at the grand tours, put hashtag grand tours, you will see what we call these days digital nomadism, was something which the aristocrats did 700 years ago. They sent their kiddos when they were in their late teens, early 20s. They sent them on a trip for six months or 3 years to just explore certain parts of Europe, learn everything about architecture, history, etc. Nowadays, we call this digital nomadism or remote working experiences. But you know what? All of this has been around. Yes, it's been around for a long time, so we're not doing anything new. The only thing which is faster is the availability of the data, and the power of AI. That is faster. Yes, you can have access to the smartest content and the most sophisticated mentors, and that's powerful. You don't have to travel to Florence to access the Florence library. Yeah, in the old days that was necessary. Now you have it on a tip of a finger. Yeah, you get that information.
Yeah, very good point. Then what's the point of traveling? I have to ask you. I mean, we have different reasons, but
you don't have to. World schooling can happen. World schooling you can do, and traveling is optional. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should. I just pick a place where I like the climate. I like the fact that geo-arbitrage works here because it attracts more interesting people who don't have money. Yeah, and so and you find more creative people hanging out in places where a piece of a great loaf of bread costs 1/3 of what it costs, let's say, in Copenhagen.
Yep.
Yeah, so it attracts a different kind of people. But you do not have to travel with your kids all the time to do this. No, you just educate them based on their own interests. And yes, you do it with an open mindset. That logically helps. But you find that interesting locations attract people like that in large numbers. Yeah, and if you go to probably Detroit in the US, it's probably not so much because they're still suffering from overcoming the downside of the expiring combustion car industry. Yeah, but you find places which attract people, and especially those places are the ones where you do not necessarily need a heating system in winter and where you don't need an AC in summer.
Yeah.